MnM Going Deep, week 16. Week 15 just wrapped up. The Eagles fall to the Seahawks on Monday Night Football, and a lot more has happened in the NFL, and we'll dive right into that. Cole, it's Christmas leave. How are you?
Yeah, it's not Christmas yet. We still got one more week of prime Christmas games. I'm I've been better. Obviously, football wise, it's been a tough week for Cole, but Kyle, the Browns are continuing to face adversity. And week in, week out, Joe Flacco doesn't always look pretty, but they figure it out, and the Bears aren't a bad team.
Not pretty,
And
but tough.
how did you feel? Thank you, Lambo. How did you feel after that Hail Mary? What happened to
Um,
your heart in that
I
play?
will tell you right now, when the Browns went down 17-7, I kind of gave up on the game. I was like, there's no way we're scoring 10 points today, 10 more points today. And I was like, this is a wrap. And then uh the shining light that gave me life back was the muffed punt. And then immediately ensuing was the interception. But Hail Mary aside, like that game was insane. But I did lose in my fantasy in the first week of the playoffs to the lowest seed. Thank you, Zay Flowers, putting up a 1.7 points. That really helped. Um, what else? I had something else to clean up with you. Mustache. Are we on anything?
We'll do mustache because I failed to find a better.
All right, we'll do
But I
mustache.
was I was thinking of drinking a drinking punishment like for if we wanted to do. I mean, you could pick it. It could be like a long drawn out drinking punishment, like every weekend for 6 weeks you have to do something, you know what I mean? Or however many games back behind the loser. So let's say I'm up one game on you come
Hmm.
the final week. You only owe one of whatever punishment, which could be like you have to do like an Irish car bomb at every bar we go to.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
So we that could be something, but I need more research on that. But if you want me to wait, if you want to wait on a week, I'm okay with the mustache until how about next because we're getting too close to the
We
final
are getting
for us
very
to
close.
not go with the mustache, but
So
we'll
it
do
has to be like basically next week because then we have a full week. I have
yeah.
basically 3 weeks of picks to catch up to you right now because I'm what, 4 or 5 games back?
Technically you're eight, right? Or are we calling that? No, yeah, you're right. It's four really.
You're 48, 30. I'm 44. Yeah, I'm four back. Four back in the win column and four back in the loss column.
Yeah, so I mean that's that's doable. If you fucking catch me going minus or fucking 0-6 on this week, but
I might have to shake up my picks and not consistently pick against the teams that I need the Brown need to lose for the Browns to be more successful. I might need to shake that up a little bit.
you I mean, I've been doing the same thing for the Packers and it's been helping me.
It's
So
been helping the Browns. It's not been helping me here.
okay.
I don't have the list of games, so you'll have to kick us off,
Yeah,
start
no,
us off,
I
push
got
me into
you.
week first down, baby.
So Thursday night football, quite the close one. Chargers Raiders 63-21. Next game if we want. But really, I mean, Easton Stick didn't have an awful game right off the bat.
When you look at
And
the box score,
well, and but I'm saying like to begin the game, it wasn't like, oh wow, this is I mean, right at the beginning it was competitive. At the beginning. Now it got away from them, turnovers.
and there
Uh
wasn't turnovers on his part, it was fumbles by everybody else.
yeah. I mean, the the part of the game that was just impressive was like the Raiders defense was good.
Very
Like
good.
and they're playing a bad offense. You can say whatever you want. Austin Eckler, he's washed up. Um, I don't know. Aiden O'Connell. There's a lot of people talking about like the backup quarterback, charades that are happening with this season and which quarterbacks are good enough to get an opportunity next week or next season. I don't know. Like Aiden O'Connell doesn't hit that level for me where I'd give him and justify him a starting opportunity. But then again, what are the Raiders going to do? Are they going to pursue like
Daniel Jones.
other options? You think Daniel Jones?
No, I'm just thinking like to myself, like quarterbacks that are going to probably be on another team next year. You got Daniel Jones, who's one probably. Justin Fields is two. Kyler Murray, maybe. I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna
I
get rid of
mean,
Kyler.
Jake Browning.
You want to
Think of
know? When we get to this, when we get
Joe
to this,
Flacco.
Joe Flacco. When we get to the Panthers Falcons game, I have a wild take that I think you'll buy into. But yeah, you're right. I don't really know what the Raiders are going to do, especially if they keep winning games. They're going to win themselves out of a potential high-end quarterback. I don't know why mock draft boards still have Jaden Daniels in the late first round. I don't see that happening. I do not see Jaden Daniels falling that far. I don't see Bo Nix falling that far. I don't see.
I don't think Jaden Daniels is that good.
I think he's good.
I think he doesn't translate as well as people think he will
I
to the
think he
next.
has a better arm than Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts has been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think
saying
he's
he can't translate, but
I think he has a better arm, and he's better on better
runner.
yeah, a
You think
better runner
Jaden
than
Daniels
Jalen
is a better
Hurts.
runner than
I think
Justin
so.
or Jalen Hurts? Did I say
I think so.
Justin? Okay,
I mean,
all
it's
right,
yet to be determined, but we'll see, like combine and things like that.
all right. Well, anyways, Raiders. They're still. I think technically they're not eliminated. Neither are the Chargers. Still in the AFC playoff race, but nothing's going to happen
But
there.
this was the straw that broke the camel's back with Brandon Staley, and Brandon Staley is now out.
Yeah. And I think that people were counting down seconds before after that game he would be fired. And he was. Vikings Bengals, first game of Saturday. That was the game of the week in my mind. Bengals 27, Vikings 24. That was incredible. There were so many big plays just throughout from both both offenses were making like incredible, like, oh my God, the Vikings might be lucky with that Nick Mullins to Jordan Addison, who now all of a sudden Jordan Addison is no number two. Like that's a one
One
A
Bravo.
one A one B guy.
Yeah.
And so just to see the Vikings, it's scary if they get a consistent high level performing quarterback to go with TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson when he's healthy, Jordan Addison. Like they also got KJ Osborne, who's a very underrated slot receiver. Running back, okay, they got Madison, who's kind of, a veteran, but nothing to be excited about. Regardless, I mean, Brian Flores has their defense playing really well. They're going to be a top five defense when the end of the season's over because of how well they get off the quarterback. They're like the number three or number two highest blitz percentage defense in the NFL, and it's helping them.
Number
So
one.
they're number one.
Number one. That's another
So
quarterback, by the way. That's another quarterback now that we're on the Vikings that could be moving teams. Kirk Cousins.
yeah, and I would be shocked to see him leave just now, especially with the Vikings starting to click on all cylinders on
Yeah.
offense. Kirk Cousins is going to only continue to like improve and let those young pieces grow. And I would hate to see that's a team that's in a Super Bowl window next year if they get some defensive pieces in my mind. Um,
Defensive pieces and maybe a running back that can change the
offensive
game a little
line,
bit.
yeah. But Bengals, I mean, that's the story. Is Jake Browning has stats of a top five quarterback the last few weeks. Like
He's balling.
he's playing incredible. That offense again, like the Bengals. I was saying that 2 weeks ago. I think they were 5-6 going into Monday Night Football, and I said the Bengals are not out until they get. If they lose, it's over. But if they win this game, and I forget who they're playing Monday Night Football 3 weeks ago, they
Jaguars.
got they got that win, and then they really just adversity throughout the rest of like those last. They've just been winning games. They dominated last week against the Colts, and now they're here against the Vikings. Had an incredible comeback, and that was the most exciting game. I couldn't watch it. I was like on my phone the entire time while I was with my girlfriend's family because that game was a pivotal for the Packers playoff run. And thank God that happened because it still keeps the Packers alive, really, in a good way with that Bengals win. But that's all I have on that game, unless you got something else.
Yeah, now the Bengals are the sixth seed
Six
in the
seed, yeah,
AFC, and Jake Browning's balling. The whole you should not have cut me thing. Good thing he didn't say it before the game started because it would have just been bulletin board material for the Vikings. And 3 quarters of that game, they were probably right. And then Jake
yeah,
Browning has a stunning fourth quarter. T. Higgins' touchdown. I want to mention that. That was incredible.
yeah. That T Higgins was. I think a lot of he gets a lot of shit because people say that's a number two receiver. People are saying without Jamar Chase in that offense, T Higgins doesn't fit the bill.
Wasn't
And
Jamar hurt when he made that play though?
Jamar was hurt for pretty much the entire game. And T Higgins looked every bit of a number one receiver in that game and was incredible. So, I mean, I kind of eat my words sometimes with T Higgins. Like, well, I think last year I underrated him, didn't think he was as good as, he turned out to be and making plays in the playoffs and whatnot. But I mean, when they get healthy, I think the Bengals, obviously, they're not going to have Burrow. If
No,
Jake Browning can keep this level of play, though,
he'll
they
be
can
scary.
they can beat anybody. And I'll say this right now: I still think the best team in the AFC right now is the Bills.
Do they
And I
do they play Kansas City this week or next week?
the Bills
No,
play
no,
the
no, no. The Bengals.
Bengals play the
No, they play
Steelers.
Pittsburgh this
They
week. They
play
play
Steelers.
Kansas City next week. I'm excited for the Kansas City since Cincinnati game if Jake Browning continues this level of
Oh
play.
yeah, that's I think Christmas Day.
Yes. And then the only other thing is I guess the Vikings stick with Nick Mullins.
Yeah, you have to. I think he did nothing wrong to lose in that game. But yeah, I got that's all I got for that game. The next game we had was Steelers Colts, the 4 p.m. game for Saturday. A little close in the beginning, obviously, and then the Colts just, I mean, it was Steelers were up early,
13
and
nothing.
but they were doing field goals, and the Colts got touchdowns, and then their defense just took over, and then the Colts ran away with it. Really, the big thing that came out of this game was the Demonte KZ, the hit on Michael Pittman, the debate about like should defenses be, nitpicked as much as they are when it comes to safety rules and violations, as the NFL changes its path over the last few years, but I don't really want to get into that. But Gardner Minshew, 3 TDs. Trubisky doesn't seem to be the answer. I mean, the Colts don't even have that good of a defense. They're not something that's like their calling card in the top 10 defenses in the NFL. But if there's a team that's in the wild card race that I'm not scared about, it's the Colts.
Mm.
Obviously, I mean, I'll say the Steelers, if you're going to consider them a wild card team, I'm not scared of them at all. But
No. Their schedule
the,
gets harder now.
yeah, the Colts, though, in my mind, I just don't see them as a team I'm worried about. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that I think have a good chance of upsetting a good team or obviously making a run if they're the
Yeah.
favorite.
I
But
mean, there's 2 teams on the outside looking in that I would be afraid of, and one's the Bills, and the second one is the Texans. I don't think like without CJ Stroud, the Texans are a lot different, but with CJ Stroud, that team's like a, a scary wild card team.
if I
Potential
was,
like
yeah,
just because they're overperforming all expectations. They have nothing to fucking lose. They're just excited to be here.
if I, yeah,
The other thing, yeah, you mentioned it. Now the Steelers transition from Mitch Trubisky to Mason Rudolph again, and Kenny Pickett. Still no timeline of him coming back, and I don't know why Pittsburgh Steelers fans are thinking that he is the savior because offense didn't look great with Kenny Pickett before this. Like, I'm gonna point back to it again. You guys, all Pittsburgh Steelers fans were jumping on the bandwagon after 400 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals. only scored like what 20 points in that game, put up 400 yards, but barely scored any points. Now, 3 weeks in a row after that, guys have laid eggs against two-win teams, and now the Colts, a potential playoff team. I don't see, I don't see it, and the whole Kazi thing where him getting ejected. Steelers preach dirty big hits. They've done it for years. Now with the NFL changing, you're not allowed to do those things. So that's why a lot of these Steelers players who do these hits get ejected out of games or are getting fined or yada yada yada. The NFL is pivoting away from that style of football, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are not, and that's why these things happen. I do
Sounds
not
like
feel bad.
coming from a Browns fan. Okay. The attacking the school bully. The Detroit Lions, Denver Broncos, the night game on Saturday. The Detroit Lions looked like the greatest show on turf. It's like every week, it's like, who are you going to get with the Lions? And that wasn't like the way they were in the beginning of the year. And that's why it's still, there's a question mark because you saw weeks 1 through 7 or 8, even like week 10, the Lions at 8-2, you're like, okay, this team is consistent. They're tough. They're face adverse conditions. They'll win. Like they're one of those teams where you would put up with the top 3, 4 teams in the NFC. And then you saw those stumbles. They got 3 weeks ago by the Bears and the Packers. I honestly think that the Lions they might need to relook themselves. Um, the Broncos, for that matter. Sorry, not the Lions. Broncos need to relook themselves because what they were getting done earlier and going on that run, it's kind of faded away. They're no longer on that hot streak. And the Lions, this is kind of what you need to build on. That running game, both running backs averaging 90 yards plus per game. And then the receiving core is coming together.
I was
No
going to
great.
say the utilization of Jameer Gibbs was big in that game. I thought that was key to their winning against the Broncos, and I think they're you're going to start to see like his numbers take off. I know he had a little bit of time without David Montgomery, but his utilization went down after David Montgomery came back. I think this is going to this like that last game is going to catapult him, and they're going to start using him a whole lot more. I know David Montgomery's still that ground and pound, tough in between the tackles guy and on the goal line, but
Next game we had Buccaneers and Packers. Well, so really quick before we go to there, Lions, that puts them pretty much squarely into the 3rd seed in the NFC. You're gonna have with that Eagles loss, you're gonna have the Niners at the 1, and then Cowboys with their loss to the Bills. It's gonna be them 2 or Eagles 2, and then
Cowboys have someone tough though coming up.
Cowboys have the Dolphins this week.
Yeah. And then the Eagles have to play the Giants twice and the Cardinals. So the Eagles have three get right games.
So okay, so the Eagles are gonna be the 2 seed, but fuck the Eagles for screwing my team out of beating the Seahawks. And then yeah, so that's
Hmm.
their big 3 seed, and then the 4 seed is whoever. It's gonna be the Buccaneers, maybe the Saints.
They're playing the best out of that division right now.
Yeah, and then after that, I mean, it's the 6 and 7 seed that really matters in the NFC right now. In my mind, that's how I see the NFC playoff race. I don't, and that could be because I'm a Packer fan. I'm on the on the hunt,
Hmm.
but I feel like the AFC there's a lot more volatility in the seeding than there is in the NFC. It's kind of predictable. But going to the next game, we had Buccaneers Packers. Story of this game was obviously the Packers defense couldn't stop anything. If there was a mentally challenged quarterback, they would have had their complete ability to score and have at least 100 pass. You know what I mean? Like that was a perfect passer rating. The second time in the NFL history at Lambeau Field that's been done. One other time by Aaron Rodgers.
It was done by Aaron Rodgers. I was going to
Yeah.
say, who's the first one? Bart
In,
Starr?
in 2019. And so Baker Mayfield, and I've never disrespected him. I've never had, negative thoughts about him.
I have.
But My God, I know because the Brown, he's fucking flaky. He's a rhythm quarterback, just like we talk about with Dak Prescott and whatnot. You can't tell me that any of that game was on Jordan Love, except for the first drive, and he admitted to it. There was a couple errant throws that he had. The fourth down call, great call, hits the out route. He just overthrows Jaden Reed, and he just throws it too far to the out. And I think that's his weakness. I've kind of seen is him hitting the left side out routes on the left side of his, out of the pocket. He struggles with some of those throws with accuracy. But other than that, and a couple times with the deep balls. But he had a just near 75, 70% completion percentage, 29 for 39. Uh, he was continuing to move the ball, and you got to be so excited with this offense because it came down to Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, two rookies. Uh, Running back, we had Kenyon Drake get in there even, but he's like the only old player on our fucking offense. And the guy
Because
got like
everybody's hurt.
he had one carry that was the coolest carry I've ever seen for a -1 yard gain. He like the ball fumbled, like he never got the ball. It was like a read option from Jordan Love, and it was his first carry as the Packer. And the ball was like a bad handoff, and he like doesn't get the handoff, but he's like it's fumbling, and he reaches down with like one hand, puts it like around his back, and kind of does like a basketball move with the carry, and he's like holding it back here as he's like securing it, gets tackled from the front with like stiff arms, and then does like it was the coolest. I thought it was a fumble, but regardless,
The coolest
it,
-1 yard run ever.
yeah, and that's probably not even close either because there's so many cool Barry Sanders -1 yard gains. So I'll just shut up. But regardless, we lost by 14 points. That was my first time I've ever said fire Joe Barry. I know every Packers fan in the world
Yeah,
wants
they
Joe
that
Barry,
yeah,
the
they
defensive
all
coordinator,
want Joe Barry
fired.
gone.
And I've always said like, it's personnel over scheme. But realistically, we weren't putting guys in the right places. Jair Alexander hasn't played for 6 games. That game we really needed him. And you mentioned that too. Like he needs to be back against Mike
I
Evans.
said Mike Evans before
And
this
it
game,
wasn't
and
even
Mike
and it
Evans had
wasn't even Mike Evans. Like it was real, it was Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin though.
It was everybody. It was
Yeah.
everybody. There was not one time on third down where I thought we had a chance to stop them. And our offense needed some more help in that. But really quick on this, we got 3 more games: the Panthers, the Vikings, and then the Lions to end, or the Bears to end the year. If we win those next 3 games, we did have a 96% chance to make the playoffs if the Eagles beat the Seahawks on Monday Night
Mm.
Football. But with the Seahawks winning against the Eagles, the Packers now have an 89% chance of making the playoffs if they win out. And I don't think any game's a gimme. I'm not going to call the Panthers game an easy win because no win in this league is an easy win.
They're getting hot right now.
Yeah, the Panthers are a hot team. And I'm just going to stay humble. And our defense is bad. So I don't have a lot of faith, but I believe.
And for the Bucs, that's the highest a high you get from Baker Mayfield. You get one of those games every now and then you start to buy Baker stock. You buy that Baker stock when it's hot, baby. And then the next week, you're like, if he plays like that again, we can beat anybody. And then you never see that Baker for another 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And then he'll have a quarter where you see it, and then you'll see it for like a half. But then you have this other Baker that just is not the same guy. Like he loses it, or like just isn't in, like how you say, in rhythm. But that is a perfect Baker Mayfield game right there. Like they had a great game plan against your guys' defense, and we've said it for a while that your defense has been banged up, and when good old Ballantyne and Goodson are playing, it's gonna be
Yeah.
tough.
So then next game we have Jets Dolphins. This was
A slobber
what
knocker.
was it 30-0?
I
Was
think
that the
so.
final
I
score?
don't
I
think
think
they scored.
yeah, 30-0 was the final score. Was just the beginning of the game it was pretty close. I mean,
Yeah, it was.
it was 7-10-0 or 7-0 to the first quarter. And then until halfway through the second, it was 10-0. But
Yeah, and then Zach Wilson got a compound concussion. Apparently, do you see that video his mom posted?
I don't know what a compound concussion is. So
I don't know either, but apparently, like, uh he has been showing like really bad concussion like symptoms after the game. Like, and his mom posted some video, and I thought that was funny because I didn't see anything about a concussion for Zach Wilson after the game, but I do know they pulled him at halftime and they reported that it was a hydration problem. And I was like, that's fishy to me. That's really fishy to me, especially if did you see that one hit he took towards like his own goal line?
I did not watch that game, and I'm
He
glad I did not.
he gets the snap and someone comes unblocked from like his front side and somebody gets behind him and takes his legs out and then the guy that's coming straight at him just like mauls him and like it's like a tabletop.
Oh, really?
He fumbles and oh my God. And that was the first touchdown of the game.
Really defensive?
Yeah, and then it like all unfolded, and then especially if you're a Jet fan, when you see Trevor Simeon march out there, you're like, "Yep, this game's over."
The actually, I do think I saw that hit. That was the Bradley Chubb sack,
Yeah,
strip sack.
and you saw
Um,
some things unraveling on the sideline too. Garrett Wilson was in Aaron Rodgers' face, like yelling at a coach, and Aaron Rodgers didn't even like try to like back him away. He just like stayed there calm. Uh, and all Jet fans are crossing their fingers as that he can come back as soon as possible. And
no,
did
they're not. I
did
don't.
you
Do you think they want him back?
Did you get that report today that he's medically cleared?
No, I did not. I was tracking that he was. I mean, he said on McAfee show yesterday that he doesn't anticipate to get cleared because it's only been 14 weeks, and he, as much as he'd love to play, he's got to be realistic. And if we're not in the position to make the playoffs, he
This is the
wants to
report I
cover
got
some.
today. The Rodgers saga takes new turn for the Jets. Jets activated Aaron Rodgers off injured reserve on Wednesday.
Really. So I mean, maybe he suits up. I would hate to see him play. I would love to see him play, but I would hate to see him get hurt. It would kill me because the one benefit of the Packers not winning out would be we're almost guaranteed a Packers Jets game at Lambeau next season.
Oh,
If
geez.
if the Jets finish third in the AFC East and the Packers finish third in the NFC North, which is currently what it is, then both teams will end up playing each other, and it'll be at Lambeau next season, which would be awesome for
That'd be exciting.
Rodgers. But it'd be the best. I'd look forward. I'd pin that, and I'd try to go to that game. But regardless, um,
Dolphins beat the shit out of another bad
yeah,
team.
yeah. Dolphins are now 10-4. Probably put them in the top three teams in the AFC. Just looking at them with the eye test, them, the Ravens, and then the Bills. Next game, we got the Texans Titans. This was a really, really good game. It was ugly. It
Very ugly.
was ugly. But what I loved about it
Will Levis got broken in half.
was he out? Is he like
Yeah. Yeah,
is he really?
he got like broken in half, man.
Are you sure he's out?
I don't know of a person that would get up after the hit he took. It was not pretty.
I don't know. He
Is he out for this week? I don't know yet. But
no, he's
Case
playing. He's fucking playing.
is playing this week. Jesus Christ, that guy's a warrior.
But anyways, 1916 Texans get a massive win. That was critical for that they're all but eliminated if they lose that game.
Yeah,
And
probably.
they win that football game. They still got a tough game, but guess what? Everything's ahead of them because they can beat the Browns, they can beat the Colts, and you go to 10-7. If let's say they lose to the Titans, you go to 10-7. That's you like those chances when you beat the teams that you're playing to compete for the wild card. But regardless, that's all I got in that game. Titans aren't a bad team.
Yeah, and Case Keenum is a formidable backup. I've seen Case Keenum play in a Browns jersey before, and he's won games. I've seen him play for the Broncos. He's won games. He took the Vikings to the NFC Championship one year. Like Case Keenum's a good backup quarterback, so it's nothing to like be super afraid of with CJ Stroud being out. Case Keenum knows what he's doing. He's a seasoned vet and he can take a team to victory. Titans, it's a good thing you lost because you guys need a lot of pieces, man.
Yeah. Next game we have the Giants and Saints. I keep on looking at the week ahead and I'm confusing me. So Giants Saints, Tommy DeVito doesn't
Get,
do well.
gets corralled
It's
and sacked 7 times.
yeah, which is on par for the course. The only thing that couldn't happen was last week. He had 0 sacks against the worst defense in football. The Saints, they just dominated. They stay alive at 7-7, and now it's really looking like a two-horse race in the NFC South. I think you're pushing the Falcons out, although I mean they're only really one game back, but it's just the eye test. You look at those two teams, and they're the only two teams that you're really. I'm not scared of the Falcons.
No,
And the reason I'm scared of the Saints is all of the weapons they have. They have a lot of defensive pieces.
a lot of veterans on that defense.
Yeah, veterans, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan.
Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah, Tyrann Matthew is Matthew.
Yeah, he's
Tyrann
still there.
Matthew on you? Yeah, it's like they've got pieces. Um, but really, it's everything you try to do. Everything that worked for the Giants last week didn't work, and it just
Yep.
tells me that the coverage, the defensive scheme, as much as we want to shit on Dennis Allen, like it's working right now for the Saints. Derek Carr just continuing to build consistency and that offense is going to help. And you're almost afraid of home games for the Saints. And obviously that was a home game, but like him getting booed, you just got to
Oh,
keep
I
moving
was
on.
like, what do you mean they're afraid of home games? I feel like they're dominant at home this year.
But like for Derek Carr to get consistency and build on the
Yeah.
season, that's what I feel.
Everybody wants to see Jameis. Everybody, it's a boring offense with Derek Carr back there. I don't know how Derek Carr keeps playing. I feel like every week there's a new injury reported of Derek Carr, like a rib injury, a wrist injury, a concussion, an ankle injury. I have no idea what the injury report is going to say. They should just like those charts with like bodies and like if it's like yellow, there's like a nagging injury or something, and like red, it's a really bad injury. They should just put Derek Carr's body and it's just all red because his
Yeah,
whole body hurts.
that's something to tell the training staff.
But I don't know if the Giants stick with Tommy DeVito this coming week or if they go to Tyrod Taylor. Saints keep marching, man, and they have hope to win the NFC South. I mean, everybody in that division besides the Panthers has hope, but
Next game, we had the Falcons and Panthers, a shootout, 9-7. Panthers get their third win of the year, second win of the year, to go to 2-12, the best 2-12 football team in the world
Did
in
you
NFL
do you
history.
not remember me last week saying to you that I just had a gut feeling that the Panthers were going to win that game?
I mean, that's not to me. There's not one team that I'm like they're just so bad.
You're just going to not give me credit where credit's due there,
No,
huh?
I'll give you credit. I'll give you credit, but like it's not like you're. I don't know. It's not like college where you're seeing like a really bad team plays like a
I just thought like I hate the Falcons, man. I hate especially with Desmond Ritter playing and Desmond Ritter, that interception in the red zone is one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. I don't know who he was throwing that to, but he threw it directly at that linebacker and rightfully so intercepted. And the Panthers field goaled somebody to death and they won with just field goals, not scoring a single touchdown. Impressive.
Bijan
Oh,
Robinson gets -1 points in fantasy playoffs, and that was my first round pick. So
my bold take. It's not even a bold take, but what if the would we both not agree that the Falcons need an upgrade at quarterback?
yeah,
We would both think that their pick this year is a little bit too far in the draft for them to get one of the top end talents, correct?
yeah.
What if you traded your first round pick for Bryce Young?
I don't think the Panthers would do that.
I don't know if they would either, but imagine that, dude. The
And
Panthers need more.
yeah, but it's also NFC South internal. No one's
Yeah,
gonna do that.
no one's
No,
gonna do that. But
they're
I was
not gonna.
like watching the end of that game. I thought to myself, what if the Panthers just traded Bryce Young to the Falcons?
And to be honest, I love Bryce Young, and I think Bryce Young can be good. So I'm not saying he's Desmond Ritter, but if he doesn't pan out, kind of the comparison, the pro comp that you're looking at is him
Desmond
panning out to
Ritter.
be exactly like Desmond Ritter, but a smaller version of it. So
That's even
I would
worse.
I wouldn't want like they're kind of the same playing style in a way. So you wouldn't really want to see,
They both fumble a lot.
yeah. But regardless, fun game, not really.
Panthers get a win.
Next game we have Bears Browns. Take this one away. Browns get a clutch win, comeback win. Joe Flacco's got the locker room.
Joe Flacco, Joey Cool. Browns go down 17-7. I automatically am like, this game's over. No shot. The Browns are scoring 10 points. There's a muffed punt. Joe Flacco had already thrown two interceptions. One interception led to a 1 yard touchdown for the Bears. The other interception was a pick six. So both the interceptions are really how the Bears got their points, besides a field goal. Bears had literally one good drive. That's how good the Browns defense played. Um, then there's a muffed punt, and I'm like, oh, tides are turning. We can score points right here. We're right outside the red zone. Joe Flacco drops back to pass, intercepted. Um, that was when I was like, yeah, this game's over. No shot. Joe Cool, deep ball to Marquise Goodwin. Not a touchdown, but leads to a field goal. And then Nick,
Goodwin's still playing?
yeah, Marquise Goodwin. That was his first game back.
Fuck yeah.
So Marquise Goodwin back from a concussion. The Browns get a long ball to him. That was a beautiful ball by Joey Cool. And then Browns get a defensive stop, start driving down the field. Joe Flacco throws another miraculous ball to Amari Cooper. Cooper skirts by two defenders. Elijah Moore with a good pickup block. Cooper scores a touchdown. Then late in the game, Browns get the ball, like 3 minutes and 8 seconds left, drive down the field on a 3rd and 15, get the ball to David Njoku. He has one of his angry runs for like 40 yards, get us into field goal range, and Dustin Hopkins. Everybody made fun of the Browns for trading for a kicker at the end of the preseason, but he is paid off. He nails a game-winning field goal. Bears get the ball back and start driving. And Hail Mary, Darnell Mooney had it in his hands and then kicked it out of his hands. Don't know how that happened, but a lot of people say it was the ghost of Jim Brown that poked the ball out. And DeAnthony Bell picks it off. Game, set, match. Kevin Stefanski shows some motion on the sideline. Some play calling from Kevin Stefanski I was a little questionable about, but it worked out. Kevin Stefanski's been coaching his balls off. Jim Schwartz has the defense humming, and Browns look ahead to Houston and could firmly cement themselves in the wild card for the AFC if they
Yeah.
win, and it could be a little dicey if they lose.
I think the Browns just need reps on offense right now. The more reps Joe Flacco can get with those guys, that's critical. That I think you guys kind of got away with one. And I think you guys are the better team. But the Bears are also, I think they're a very underrated football team. And they've played sneaky good, sneaky tough football. And what was that drop by Robert Tunyon? Do you see that drop
Yeah,
that Justin Fields threw? It was like almost a touchdown that
yeah, it
just
should have
went
been.
right through his hands.
Yeah.
Like that was a drop. Like Justin Fields has got to be the guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, like,
You can't tell me for the Bears franchise you're going to move on from Justin Fields if he keeps up the way he's playing these last when he's healthy. It's one of those things where if he's healthy, I think Caleb Williams' stock is going down a little bit. Drake May, I'm not impressed with Drake May more so than I think he's a little bit better version of Daniel Jones coming out of college. He was in a spread offense, heavier passing sets, but besides that, Justin Fields, he's coming into his own. He's building, you know, everything
And
he needs to with DJ Moore.
his one interception is from the Hail Mary too, so you can't even really blame him for that. For
Well, he
that
got two
either.
interceptions on the day. It's showing, but
No,
obviously the
it's
one is
the one. I'll
yeah,
give him
the
where
one was
credits due. One of them should not have counted. Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. It was the second. It was going into the second half, like ending the first half. The Bears threw a Hail Mary to end the half, and he clearly didn't catch it. But in the stat sheet, for some reason, they kept it as an interception. They never reviewed it, and they just
really
called it an interception. But the ball 100% hit the ground on the review on like TV when they reviewed it, but the refs never reviewed it. So it
wow.
says two interceptions in the stat book, but he should only have one, and it should be, and they're both from a
Trying
Hail
how many?
Mary.
Yeah, that's both bullshit. Yeah. So regardless, that's my takeaway is Browns kind of got lucky pulling one out, but the better team won.
You gotta,
And
but like you gotta win games like that. Like you gotta,
yeah,
like the like your Packers Saints game. Like
you don't
you
feel
pulled
bad
one
about
out
it.
of it.
You don't
Yeah,
feel bad about it. It was just a hard fought win. The next game we have Chiefs Patriots 27-17. They cover the spread at 9.5.
Kadarius Toney plays for the other team.
Pat Mahomes finally loses his cool on his own teammates.
Yep.
And that's really all I had on this game.
This is the unraveling we were talking about last week. Is that like the little aspects of offense in football where you have to be on time, you have to be in the right place, in the right position when balls are expected to be placed like in your breadbasket. The Chiefs wide receivers are not doing it right now. The only one that probably is Rashee Rice, and he's a rookie, so you can't really expect high end stuff out of him. Travis Kelce can only do so much when he's getting double teamed every time. Isaiah Pacheco does what he can. Chiefs aren't known as a running team when you have Pat Mahomes. But I think that the Chiefs have a major problem with the wide receiver room. I I don't know. Kadarius Toney, like he has all the talent in the world. I just don't think he's taking it seriously, and he just feels like he's getting a free ride to Super Bowls, in my opinion. Like if somebody else had that opportunity to be there, I feel like somebody else would take it like way more serious. I like that juggle he had was ridiculous. And then the only other point I had from this game was Bailey Zappi is going to be a formidable backup for somebody. He just keeps balling for like 2 quarters, and then like the Patriots offense just takes a dump because they have no talent around him.
Yeah. I don't know about Zappy, but
I think he'd
that
be a backup.
he's yeah, he'll be on a roster for a long time. I don't think he's a winning games type of player though. But that being said, next game, 49ers, Cardinals. 49ers and Cardinals were pretty close throughout that first half. And then I was watching lightly that first half. Yeah, I mean, what was it? It was 14-13 all the way until the last 2 minute drive of offense for the Niners where they scored a touchdown, make it 21-13. But I mean, that's when it got away from the second half. Niners just turned into Christian McCaffrey, who's got to be the MVP this year in my mind. It's got to be him or Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill got hurt. McCaffrey's just
He keeps
really
striding, man.
the number one piece in the best offense in football and the
How many
best team in
touchdowns does he
football.
have? Like 22?
I think he has, I believe it's 19.
I think he has 19 just pure rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, you might be right.
But I think he has like 22 in total when you count his receiving touchdowns. But I'm pretty sure he has like 19 just pure rushing touchdowns. Which, if you look it up, that means he's pretty close to the record. If he can, well, what is the record? Is the
Yeah,
record still 20? Man, yeah, I think it's LaDainian Tomlinson still with the rushing touchdowns in a single season. I'll look it up when we go to the next game. But the only point I had in this game was this is what you get when the 49ers are 100% healthy. They're on pushing every cylinder. The only thing that they were missing in this game were Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead didn't play, and James Conner was able to gash him up the middle a little bit with those two guys out. But I wouldn't expect that if those two play this week. I wouldn't expect the Ravens to be able to get that kind of push against them. It's going to be a good game, but a lot of people saying Super Bowl preview. I don't think that will be it. A lot of crazy things happen in the playoffs, but 49ers look like the favorite right now as they continue to roll.
So he's got 13 rushing touchdowns this year, and he's got 7 receiving touchdowns. So he's
So
at 20 touchdowns this year
20 touchdowns. Okay.
total. Anyways, yeah, I agree with all said on that game. Commanders, Rams. Rams get a win. Was hoping the Commanders would pull this one out. Sam Howell slinging it around, but not good enough. Jacoby Brissett goes in that game and played well. Fuck, I didn't see when Brissett came in. 8 for
Yeah.
10 for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, the end of the game, Jacoby Brissett came in and basically it became the Jacoby Brissett Terry McLaurin show. And he just fed Terry McLaurin, drove down the field 2 times for 2 touchdowns. And Ron Rivera had probably the worst clock management in NFL history in this game. The Commanders were on the 1 yard line and burned 3 minutes off the clock, down 2 touchdowns.
Damn, what could have been? That's a
And then
that's a
and then on the ensuing kickoff, he still had 3 timeouts. And instead of kicking it deep and trying to stop them from getting a first down and calling 3 timeouts to get the ball back, he onside kicked it.
other thing that happens. Kyron Williams, 27 carries, 150 plus yards. I believe he still had that fumble though. 2 fumbles. Then we have the Cooper Cup, 8 receptions, 8 targets. That's another big thing. Uh, he's back, but that's all I have on that game. Rams look like the 6th seed. In my mind, that's who I think will be the 6th seed in the playoffs.
And that's a scary 6 seed.
They are. They're a really good football team.
Like if you're the Lions, who would you rather play?
The Packers. Um. Anyways, the next game. Fuck. I always lose track where I'm at. Oh, Cowboys Bills. 31, was it 31-10, I believe?
Something like that.
Domination. Josh Allen, if Christian McCaffrey doesn't win MVP and the Bills keep going on this run, Josh Allen is my MVP. That's
Yeah,
who's
this
got
was
to be it.
the James Cook game though.
Yeah, I mean he was catching it, he was running it.
Yeah, Josh Allen only threw for like 74 yards in this game.
Did he?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, he only threw for like 74 yards and a touchdown.
74 yards.
Ah, nailed it.
No,
Uh,
I'm checking. I'm like agreeing with you.
oh, all right. But this was the James Cook game while you look that up. James Cook was
Holy fuck.
everywhere. What was
Holy
it?
shit.
What was it?
94 yards.
Oh, or 94. All right.
But still 90 passer rating.
He said in his press conference at the end of the game, I felt like the kid that was a part of the group project that did nothing and got an A. But this was the James Cook game. He was everywhere. He could not be stopped by the Dallas Cowboys offense. And I watched the Dan Orlovsky film breakdown of this game. Basically, what the Bills did was they left Micah Parsons unblocked every time they ran the ball and just ran it at whoever number 14 is on the Dallas Cowboy defense and just ran it towards him. And he could not tackle James Cook worth a shit. And James Cook tore them up for over, I think, 200 yards combined and 2 touchdowns. James Cook was on my fantasy team, and we still lost. So that's awesome. Thanks, Safe Flowers.
You were right. You said it. Next game, Ravens and Jaguars. Ravens, was it 23-10? That was my just guess. I believe it was 23-10. I know that the Jaguars scored 10. They're in a rut right now. Yes, 23-7. So,
23-7.
I mean, it's tough right now as a Jaguars fan
Yeah, Trevor
because
Lawrence doesn't look good.
you started out and you thought you might get the 1 seed like 4 weeks ago. And now their offense, they're not even like unhealthy. It's just that they're not playing to the level that they can.
I think that they're really tired of playing AFC North opponents because they played the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens all right in a row and lost all 3 games. And that's what happens when you're a AFC South team and you come up north, and North is going to beat you. And we play a different style of football in the AFC North.
So I mean, this puts the Jaguars. They're
At,
eight and
at
six now.
risk of losing the AFC
And
South.
yeah, and your worry now is, do they make the playoffs? Because well, let's look at their record or their schedule really quick.
Eight and
Okay.
six. They beat the Colts twice, and
Okay,
they
so they'll
split
go.
against the Texans.
So this Buccaneers game's massive. Buccaneers are currently favored. They
Mhm.
lose that. They go to 8 and 7. Let's say the Texans beat the Browns. All of a sudden, whoa. So, anyways, Jaguars play the Panthers. They'll get a win there. So you're looking at 8, 9, and 7 potentially. And then now you've got this Titans game, which Titans are the best team at playing when they're nothing matters. So you would love to. Will Levis would love to spoil a Jaguars
Yeah,
playoff berth. But
100%.
anyways, um, yeah, Ravens are impressive on both sides of the football. Something to just keep an eye out is they've always been successful regular season pretty much with Lamar Jackson when he's healthy. What can they do in the playoffs? That's really what I want to see is can he take the next step? Can he get to an AFC championship game? And I mean, he hasn't been to an AFC championship game.
This is
So
going to
can he
be a
get to one?
weird thing to say, but I think the Ravens would prefer not to have the bye. I think they would want to keep playing, like continuously, just not have that 1 week break. I think that they would rather not have the bye.
I disagree.
I think
If
that they're just no. I just feel like they're in a groove right now. And you said it like sometimes when you're in a groove, you don't want to stop and have that bye week and then like have to restart. I really don't think that. I think they're a team that would benefit from not having a bye week.
next game, Monday Night Football, Eagles, Seahawks, WTF. That was incredible. I watched that whole game on my flight on DirecTV off of the seat in front of me. That was the Drew Lock show. Drew Lock, does he get a starting job next year? I mean, he looked good. He looked very good. And talk about like all these backup quarterbacks, like the intangibles. He's got all of the talent in the world.
And he's
Drew
got a
Lock,
big arm.
Drew Lock has an incredible arm. He's got every single tool to be a starting franchise quarterback, and
It
that
was
was
just that
him coming out of
could,
Mizzou.
yeah,
People
it
thought
was
he could be a
just
top 10 pick.
they thought that it was just that can he make the right decisions? And I think a
Yeah,
couple years of sitting behind Gino or sitting behind who was behind in Denver? Was it Case
Denver.
Keenum? But did he back up Case Keenum? I
I don't
know he
remember.
got a few starts. I think it was Case Keenum, and then Case Keenum got hurt, and then he came in for a couple of games. But I think it benefited him by sitting behind a couple of guys for a couple of years. Now, especially learning underneath Pete Carroll and learning like how Pete like orchestrates his defense and where defenses are going to try and align against him and what they're trying to do and shut things down. I think that really helped Drew Lock um, understand NFL like the pro level of football.
Yeah.
And I think given an opportunity, I think Drew Lock is the guy that the Seahawks should just keep rolling with right now if Gino is healthy.
And the other thing on that, talk about teams that you don't want to play. I still think the Seahawks are a very good team. And I mean, if I was right now, I think based on the eye test, I would put the Seahawks at the 7 seed, put the Rams at the 6 seed, Cowboys at the 5 seed, and that's a really good wild card slate, but or like a wild card group. But I mean, they have an offense that is scary. Kenneth Walker is really fucking good, and I think Kenneth Walker is underrated. He's not people don't watch him as much as maybe other running backs that are more publicized, but he might be a top 10, top higher than that. A lot of these big names are kind of getting washed up now, but Kenneth Walker is here to stay. They got fucking Metcalf is a
He
beast.
he
I think he's
dominated
underrated.
on that last drive.
Yeah, he did. And he was kind of like Troy Aikman was talking about how he had no, just the one reception all game, and then fucking they jinxed it. I
And
mean,
Jackson Smith and Jigba is starting to figure it out.
Jigba, Lockett, like that's a 3 horse power team. But
Noah Fant in the tight end.
Fant kind of fucking sucks. Did you see the first play of that drive?
Yeah, yeah,
The first
yeah.
play of that comeback drive. Oh my God! Now this is pissing me off just thinking about it because I treated this game like a Packers game because I needed the
Because you
Eagles
needed
to
the
win.
Eagles to win. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have just taken one of the things that has to happen for the Packers to get back into control of their own destiny. It would have taken just to one other thing needed to happen, and now two things have to happen.
Seahawks
But
have to play the Steelers down the line, though.
yeah, but that's the Steelers.
Yeah.
Any
Never
team can
know.
beat
Never know
any
what
team can
team you're
beat
gonna
any
get with
team.
them, though.
But now, besides that, Eagles get their third loss straight. Their offense does not look the same.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to fire. I think his name's Brian Smith. I know first name
No, it's
Brian.
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson. Yeah, fucking run the ball, maybe.
Dude,
Like
DeAndre Swift had a great
get,
game, and they just
getting
decided not to give him the ball
yes,
anymore.
they don't give him the ball and they can't pass it. So that's continuously the issue.
And
But
then the final interception, like I don't know where Jalen Hurts is looking because Kenneth Gainwell is in the flat and no one is around him. If you just dump it off to him, he probably goes for 20 yards and puts you in field goal range to tie the game.
yeah.
I'll chalk it up to no idea what Jalen Hurts is, what like is like what he is, and that he apparently he had the flu going into that game, so maybe it was the flu, but I don't know, man. Like I do think that the play calling is a little bit to question, but
Well,
Jalen
you
Hurts,
also
but Jalen
first
Hurts hasn't played that great this year.
that was an embarrass. So the first interception of Julian Love, I almost said Jordan Love. The first interception of Julian Love, he's throwing the ball. Fucking, it's that it was 1st and 10. They were moving the
Yeah,
ball well. They were moving the ball well. They were backed up at like their 6 yard line. They got to the 50, and
took a shot.
then he takes a shot on
Didn't
first and
need to.
10, 1st and 10, and they were in control of that fucking football game. It was 17-13. They were in control of the game.
Yep.
And then like just run out the fucking clock. Or I mean get some points, obviously, but like move the ball methodically down the field. And
It's
if it's not
raining
open,
too.
don't
Why are you
throw it.
not running on first down every time?
But what did they say? That was also PI on Julian Love.
Yeah.
That was a PI on that deep shot where he got the interception in the back of the end zone. Regardless, that pissed me off. The second interception, you don't need to throw that ball.
Don't.
You need like fucking Joe
20
Buck.
yards.
You just need 15 yards.
Nope.
And that's very doable with 10 seconds left. And you had a
And
timeout.
it's doable if you check it down. Like you don't need all of them in that moment. Like there was
So
time.
that's frustrating. I know Eagles fans are more frustrated than I am, but because they're on their third loss straight and they
I'm
don't look
frustrated with
like,
them because DeAndre Swift and AJ Brown cost me my fucking fantasy league. So
well, tough. Going into second down, Thursday night football, Saints at Rams,
big
massive playoff
game.
implications. I want the Saints to win this game. Rams are 4-point favorites. Think the Rams will win this game, but both teams are coming off of a good win.
Wait, you want the Saints to win?
Yeah,
Why would you want the Saints to win?
because technically, the way it chalks up is we want the Rams. The Rams have to get one more loss for us to get into the playoffs.
In total?
Yeah, so
Like you
like
and the Rams both can't make the Green Bay Packers and the Rams both can't make the playoffs?
no, we can, but there's things that like to guarantee us to be in the playoff. If we want to be in control of our own destiny, that's what needs to
Okay.
happen.
Okay.
That's it helps us because right now we need the Rams to lose one.
But the Saints too are 7-7.
So if the Vikings, yeah, but the Saints play who the fuck? The Saints play the Bucs, I believe. And let me look right now. Saints play the Buccaneers week 17. That's going to determine who gets the NFC South. And somehow, because there's going to be multiple teams at 9-8, if the Packers and the Bucs are both 9-8, the Packers get in over the Bucs.
But they lost to
Uh,
the Bucs.
yeah, it's because there's going to be three teams at 9-8.
Okay.
So regardless, what we need, trust me, what
I mean,
the
like,
Rams
yeah,
the Rams play the Niners in the last week of the season, so we can also hope for the Rams to lose that game.
but the
But
Niners probably won't be playing for anything.
I mean, they might if the fucking Eagles can stop losing fucking games.
I mean,
But
the Cowboys losing also hurts too, then.
yeah, but anyways, the that's realistically, um,
Rams are 4-point favorites.
Rams are 4-point favorites.
Gotcha.
Good game Thursday night football tomorrow.
But
Next
what do you
game,
expect out of this game?
I would say probably a
Stars got to shine. Aaron Donald's got to shine. Matthew Stafford's got to play well in order
I
for
think
the
the
Rams to
Rams,
win. And I think if the Saints have any hope, defense has to stand on its head like it did last week against Tommy DeVito, and Derek Carr can't turn the ball over. That was another thing that I'd realized in the Saints Giants game is Derek Carr didn't turn the ball over a single time in that game, and that is key to the Saints winning games.
yeah. Next game, Saturday. There's two Saturday games, one at 4, one at 8. Bengals Steelers in Pittsburgh. Steelers are 2-point underdogs. Really big, massive game again. Big for playoffs. All these 500 and just above 500 teams creating a lot of good playoff implication matchups late into the season. But we got two backup quarterbacks going at it. Is Kenny Pickett going to come back?
No,
So then, yeah, it's going
it's
to be
Mason Rudolph is going to start.
yeah, that's right. Rudolph versus Browning. I think they're just giving the Steelers, a closer spread because they're at home, but I like the Bengals in this one.
Jake Browning has already played the Steelers one time. It was his first game starting this year, and he did not play well. I could expect that Jake Browning, seeing their defense one time before, this could be a completely different game than the first one, even if they're in Pittsburgh. Don't care.
Yeah. Next game,
Holy
Bills,
shit.
Bills at Chargers.
Sorry, I just looked at the line.
Oh, with Bills Chargers?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12-point spread. This is the only two possession spread in this week's slate. A lot of close matchups based on Vegas. But I mean, it's really because Easton Stick's playing quarterback and the Bills are hot and they need a win.
And the Chargers completely gave up last week.
But guess what? What's that stat about?
Interim head
Interim
coaches
head
win like
coaches
75% of the time.
like 85% actually. But
It's 85. But Bills looking to continue to roll. I would expect another big game out of James Cook in this one. Chargers run defense sucks.
the next game, first game on Sunday, Packers Panthers. Packers 5-point road favorites. That game is going to be a Packer home game. But
You
what I
saw
will,
that, right? Like the
yeah,
fucking
seven
Panthers tickets
fans
for
attended the game.
45 cents.
Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, maybe it's going to be Christmas Eve and people go to the game. I told Jesse, I was like, Jesse, our friend from Charlotte, like, you should go to the game. And he's like, fuck no. And he's a big Panthers fan, but he's like, I'm
He
not doing
is.
that for my Christmas Eve. But you're playing the Packers, who can lose to anybody, and they can also beat anybody. So I don't trust us. 5 points is a little bit too high for me as a Packers fan. But regardless, it's a massive game for the Packers. It's not going to be on much TV screens because there's a lot of other 1 p.m. slate games that, both teams have implications on. If you got anything on this one.
I don't have much on this one. I just hope your Packers win for you.
Yeah. I just want to be relevant by New Year's Eve. All I want is to have a relevant New Year's Eve Sunday night football game against the Vikings so that can be my playoff game. I mean, every game is a playoff game for me, and it's been like that since we were fucking 2-5.
Yeah.
But this is now, if I can just watch meaningful football into January or the last minutes before January hits, that's all I need.
Get to
Um,
500 and everything is at stake.
yeah. Well, yeah, we need 2 games to get to 500. We'll hopefully, maybe figure it out. But Browns at Texans, biggest 1 p.m. matchup in my mind. I mean, this one is if CJ Stroud can play, Nico Collins is on track to play, so they can get a little healthier. I mean,
CJ Stroud
Browns,
is not on track to play.
is he not?
He's doubtful.
I thought he was questionable.
No, he is now doubtful in the Browns. The line flipped to 2.5 to the Browns.
Okay. Well, fuck. I mean, I like the Browns in this game. I don't see much of a offensive threat. You guys have a much better defense than the Titans do, and I think you guys can score points because you have playmakers. It's just about getting them Texans defense isn't bad, but they're not going to win in this game.
Yeah, the thing that really scares me, one is if CJ Stroud plays, just CJ Stroud in general, that will be a problem. Second is we're on the road. Yeah, I have said this stat several times now that the Browns have the number one defense while they're at home, 32nd defense while they're on the road. Going on the road in Houston, a turf field, that scares me. I really like I already mentioned it in the Rams Saints game. Stars need to play in this game. Mari Cooper, Miles Garrett, those guys need to show up in this game. David Njoku's been on a hot stretch. David Njoku is going to need a hot game in order for our offense to score points, and our defense is going to have to shut down the Texans' offense. I'm a little nervous about that game because a lot of people are now looking at the Browns like they should win.
Yeah, you always get nervous when you're supposed to win. I'm the same way. Joku is your guy.
Yeah, that's my guy.
He's he's not your guy. He's also Cleveland's guy. He needs to be Cleveland's guy. Feed him the fucking ball more. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how I see the Browns. I don't get why you don't feed him like Antonio Gates. But I think this season it's happening more than it has in the past. Commanders, Jets, next game. Jets 3-point favorites at home. Kind of interesting.
The
But
craziest thing of this game is the Jets have the 32nd ranked offense. The Commanders have the 32nd ranked defense. Two stoppable for an unstoppable force meets a movable object.
yeah. So
What's the
we'll figure
line?
this is the 3-point spread for the Jets. I'm gonna
What?
stay away from that game because I think the Jets are hideous, but the Commanders I like, but it's like the Jets defense can can match up against that Commanders offense. So I like the Jets probably a little bit, but I don't like saying that out loud. Um, Seahawks Titans in Tennessee. Seahawks are 2.5-point favorites. Big game for the Seahawks. Would love the Titans to pull, upset over here, but Seahawks are playing good football. Pete Carroll's got them doing the right things. Their defense is playing inspired. They didn't even have Devin Witherspoon. They had some corners out there that were just like balling. And throughout the game, you're kind of looking at that, and they even benched what's his fucking name? The rookie from last year, 6'2",
Tariq
uh,
Woolen?
Tariq Woolen. Yeah, now they call him Reek. He doesn't like to be called Tariq anymore. But I mean, he was benched by Pete Carroll for the first quarter, and then he came back in. But I mean, that defense can play good football. They still got Bobby Wagner and all those guys. Their defensive line played well against the Eagles' offensive line. This seems like a Seahawks blowout, but
The worst team to play when you are playing for something is the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel loves to ruin things.
the Colts Falcons, one of the other 1 p.m. games at Atlanta. Falcons are 1-point favorites. Don't understand how, but I mean, I
Because
could see.
Gardner Minshew sucks on the road.
Is that it?
Yeah, no, he is one of the statistically worst quarterbacks on the road.
Well, fuck. Okay. Um, what do we got? Next
I
game,
I
Lions
hope
Vikings.
I hope the Falcons win. I'm sorry. I just hate the Colts. I really don't want to see them in the playoffs because that would just make a boring playoff game, I feel like.
I don't want to see the Falcons in the playoffs either. So
Yeah,
they're the same team, except
same team.
Minshew's better than
Desmond
fucking
Ritter, yeah.
yeah.
But on the road though, Gardner Minshew is basically Desmond Ritter.
Next game, Lions Vikings. Massive game. Vikings 3.5-point underdogs at home. This one is, I think the Vikings get back in this one, but the Lions look so good. I just think the Vikings have a good defense that can get to Jared Goff, and we'll see. This is interesting. They haven't played each other a lot this year. Jared Goff, when he faces pressure, is not the same guy, and the Vikings bring pressure. They play each other 2 and out of the last 3 games. They play each other this week, and then they play each other in the finale. Packers need the Vikings to lose one of these 2 games.
Damn.
They just need obviously they need to beat the Vikings, so they need the Vikings to lose 2 of 3.
Never
But
saw a Packers fan root so hard for the Lions.
and I mean, go fucking Dan Campbell, bite those kneecaps. But I don't know. The Vikings are relentless. They looked really good against the Bengals. That was just a tough collapse. But anyways, that's all I got on that one. Should be a good
And
game.
uh, I don't know, man. You are right. Goff hates pressure, and Brian Flores loves sending extra guys. We talked about it earlier, them being the number one team that blitzes, highest percentage blitz. Nick Mullins, he's got to continue to just be formidable and not turn over the ball, throw it directly at defensive linemen's stomachs.
Next game, 4 p.m. slate on Sunday. Jags at Bucs. Bucs 1 point favorites. Another big, massive game. But I mean, really, this is one team's going one direction, one team's going south. So I kind of like the Bucs in this one. They're 1 point favorites. Jags, this is a get right game. Two Florida teams. Which team is the Florida team that's going to go to the playoffs? Because I mean, maybe both, but Jags are reeling right now.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. He had that injury against the Bengals, and then no one expected him to play against the Browns. He didn't look good against the Browns. Then they played the Ravens. He looks even worse against the Ravens. I don't know how injured Trevor Lawrence is. That could be a problem against this Tampa Bay defense that gave Jordan Love a little bit of a fit last week. They get pressure too. I forget what Shaq Barrett and Vita Vea, those guys, they're seasoned vets. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been there, done that, man.
Cardinals, Bears. Bears
Yuck.
4.5 point favorites. This is just like if you're a Bears fan, get a win. Justin Fields, show what you got. But I think the Bears should win this game. Kyler Murray, Justin Fields. I think there's going to be a lot of highlight plays in this game, but it's no one should want to watch it.
The over under is 43. I think they go over there.
Yeah. Well, thing about this is it's a really, really good 4 p.m. slate with those other 2 games. Cowboys, Dolphins, next game. So you got Jags, Bucs, big playoff implications. The Florida clash. Cowboys, Dolphins, other Florida team. Dolphins 1.5 point favorites at home against the Cowboys. Cowboys aren't as good on the road. Dolphins aren't good against good football teams. So, one's got to give.
How did the yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I'll mention it when we get there, but I would look for Justin Fields to ball out. He's on a comeback tour basically making a statement of why the Bears shouldn't draft Caleb Williams number 1. And I think really watching them last week, full-heartedly, I believe that the Bears should draft Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1 and just say fuck it and
Yeah.
put Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore on the outside, and then they have another. I think now they hold the 5th pick too, so they have the 1st and the 5th
Yeah.
because
Right now.
and then the 5th pick either defensive, offensive line, like one of those two. Like because you could get a defensive stud or that tackle out of Penn State that's really good, that's
Good.
highly praised or whatever. But like you can put pieces around Justin Fields and make him even better.
Next game we have, I talked a little bit about the Cowboys Dolphins. If you got anything on that one.
Um, this is a put up or shut up game for both teams. Cowboys got fucking steamrolled in the run game against the Bills. You know who likes to run the ball? Mike McDaniel with Raheem Mostert and Devin A. Chain. The other thing is the Dolphins can't beat winning teams. They're now playing the Cowboys, who have a good defense, or so we think. I think I think it was a smart move on the Dolphins' decision to rest Tyreek Hill. I think watching him pregame, he looked good enough to go. If it was a more important game, he would probably have played. But I expect him back this week and expect him to make a difference in this one against the Cowboys defense. I expect this to be a much closer game than people are thinking. You got 1.5 as the line
Yeah, 1.5.
towards the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then the final game, Sunday Night Football. Oh wait, we have Monday Night too, but Patriots at Broncos.
Yuck.
I don't fucking care about this game. We can move on. Russell
Broncos
Wilson,
6.5
Tyler Farr,
favorites.
6.5 point favorites. Yeah,
Okay, that's the only thing that I need is the Broncos are 6.5 point favorites.
and then we have three Monday night games or Monday games. Damn, put in my picks early before looking at those games. Raiders Chiefs. That's a yuck game. Chiefs, but if the Raiders play upset, that could be. Chiefs are 10 point favorites. They're at home. Then you have. I mean, you want to comment on that one? You got anything on that?
Uh, Another get right game for the Chiefs. They've unraveled a little bit with these wide receivers. You're playing an inferior opponent. Figure it out.
Yeah. Giants at Eagles. Eagles fucking win the football game, man. They've got to. I mean, this is a 3 game losing streak.
They're
Wouldn't be
12-point
shocked.
favorites.
12 points is a lot. But regardless, I mean, DeVito's lost his magic. Is Taylor go in? Who knows?
Just like what we mentioned with I mentioned last week with the Detroit Lions, and then we've been saying about the Kansas City Chiefs. Eagles, this is a get right game. Inferior opponent, figure it out on offense. They kind of figured it out a little bit on defense. I think moving to Matt Patricia as the defensive play caller, good move. They held the Seahawks in the first half to 3 points. Kind of came apart in the second half, but then Jalen Hurts started turning the ball over. That's a problem. Jalen Hurts has 17 turnovers on the season. That's a problem. Figure it out. Jalen Hurts needs to get right. I would expect them to run the ball all over the Giants and then look for the run game to open up the pass game for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Um, what next game is the Ravens 49ers, massive game. Former Super Bowl matchup, Colin Kaepernick, the Harbaugh Bowl. Uh, both teams 11-3. Both teams the 1 seed currently in their conferences. Christmas night, what could you ask for? But see, Niners are 5.5 point favorites.
5.5. Okay. Um, you said it. Crown Jewel, last game of the week on Christmas. 11 and a half, both teams 11-3, both the number one seeds, both firmly trying to cement themselves as the one seeds because there are teams right behind each one of them. Ravens, a lot of people are doubting you. I think a lot of people have said, "Well, over there, he no playoff pedigree. This is a playoff team." I know it's not in the playoffs, but it would be a monumental win if the Ravens win. 49ers have been steamrolling opponents. Now they face probably their toughest test since the Eagles, I guess. And this will we'll see what that 49ers offense against the Ravens defense will look like. That I'm interested in that matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Niners are unstoppable, and I like the Ravens. I just don't think they're going to be able to score many points. But I'll eat my words if I have to. Third down, locks and upsets. So I got my lock with the 49ers getting the win over the Cardinals. Am I right? Yeah, 49ers over Cardinals. And then my upset, I had the Buccaneers over the Packers to put me at 6-8 or 7-8, correction. So I'm 12-3 on locks and 7-8 on upsets. You were 9-6. You got your lock with the Chiefs over the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to 6-9 with the Giants losing to the Saints.
Yep.
So, you went 1-1. I went 2-0 on that week. Going in for this week's lock, I have the Seahawks over the Titans. And then my upset, I just don't see a way the Seahawks lose that game. My upset, I have the Vikings over the Lions.
Interesting pick. Nick Mullins will have to have a good game for you there. So you've got sorry, I didn't write it down. Seahawks and then Vikings. I've got 100% no shit. This team is not going to lose this week. The Chiefs over the Raiders. And then for upset, let me pick. Give me Dallas over Miami.
Fuck yeah. All right, fourth down, best matchup. I have Ravens Niners. That's obvious. We talked about it.
Ravens, Niners, best matchup for Cole. Best matchup for me, I think. Hmm, I really, hmm, I don't want to pick the same game as you, so I'll just pick the Miami Dallas game. I think that, like I mentioned, Miami's got that high-powered offense. Dallas's defense is supposed to be one of the best, and it got exposed last week. And Miami doesn't play well against good winning teams. They're going against a 10-4 Dallas team. This is an important matchup for both teams and two teams that are fighting for playoff seeding. If the Dolphins win and then the Ravens lose, Dolphins are the number one seed in the AFC. If the Cowboys win and the Eagles win, Cowboys remain the number two seed. But if the Cowboys lose and the Eagles win, Cowboys fall all the way to the five seed. Like this is important for playoff seeding on either side, and that is an important matchup. Both of these teams have tough schedules coming up, and so does San Francisco and Baltimore.
Yeah. Sneakiest matchup. I have Jags Bucks.
Jags, Bucks. Want to say why?
Playoff implications. That's going to be one team's playing bad. The crazy to think the Bucks are favored. 3 weeks ago when it was 4-7 Buccaneers, you would have never thought they'd be favored right now against the Jags.
I've got a kind of sneaky one, has nothing to do with the playoffs. It's two guys that are vying for their job and kind of trying to build a resume of why they should not be traded to another team or cut so that they can go to another team. It's the Chicago Bears versus the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray versus Justin Fields. Both those dudes trying to show their franchises why they're the franchise guys and they shouldn't go away from them. So,
You just said if when you first heard that matchup when I told it to you.
yeah, I know.
You convinced yourself on that
I
game,
convinced myself. I was like, oh, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray. This is kind of fun.
man. Okay, the pick six. So I went 4-2, and you went.
I went 2-4.
So because you lost to the Bengals.
Lost Bengals, lost Steelers, lost Broncos, won Texans, lost Giants, won Bills.
Yep. Okay. So I go to 48, 40-2, and you go to
44, 44, and 2. You got a 4-game lead on me.
okay. So I have the Rams -4 as my first game.
Rams -4. Why did I write it like that? I'm so dumb. My first one, I'm taking the Steelers +2.
Steelers +2. I have the Panthers +5.
Ooh. My second pick, I'm taking the Colts +1.
My third pick, I have the Seahawks -2.5.
-2.5. Seattle. My third pick, I'm taking the Detroit Lions -3.5.
My fourth pick, I'm taking the Browns -2.5.
My fourth pick, I am taking the Jags +1.
My fifth pick, I have the Seahawks -2.5 over the Titans.
You've already said that.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you
Oh
did.
my God. You know what that means? I get one more pick.
Clearly, clearly.
I'm gonna take the Bucs -1.
Bucks -1. -1 TB. My fifth pick, I am taking the Denver Broncos -6.5. against the Patriots.
Yeah, it's Bill Belichick's last ride, though. I have the Vikings plus 3.5. That's my last pick.
Plus 3.5, Minnesota. My last pick, I am taking the Baltimore Ravens plus 5.5. I just don't think. I think that game's gonna be a lot closer. I think it's gonna be a field goal game. Jake Moody, he could be the get some redemption because of that Browns game.
All right, who's your
Who's
juice?
got who's got the juice? This kind of died because I'm out of the fantasy playoffs. I was if no one picked up on it, I was using this to ice out somebody on my opponent's team, and it worked for like every week. I picked Austin Eckler last week. He had a terrible game. But who's got the juice? I'm going to take Jake Browning. Jake Browning has been on fire now that he has been starting for the Cincinnati Bengals. Has put together 2 wins. Lost to the Steelers the first time, now playing the Steelers again. This week could get some redemption against them. He's put up over 300 yards. He does lose Jamar Chase, but the Cincinnati Bengals do have a pretty good offense. T. Higgins, plethora of weapons, and Zach Taylor is an offensive-minded head coach. He's been doing a great job at keeping Jake Brown upright and putting him in good positions to win. Jake Browning has been on fire, and he's got the juice right now.
I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield because I just witnessed him get a perfect game. He wasn't doing it running. There was no running the football happening. It was all through the air, and he did everything he wanted to. Second and long, third and long, didn't matter. They'd get it. So that's my juice right there, Baker Mayfield.
Well, that closes out Week 15 recap, Week 16 preview of MnM Going Deep. As always, it's Kyle McCumber. That is Cole Mueller. Everybody, have a very Merry Christmas, and we will catch you next week after your holidays, right before the new year, and we'll check back in with you, unwind the 16th week of the NFL season, and preview the 17th week. As always, go Browns.
Go Pet Go.